So, you know how you'll ask your friends for something new to listen to, and you'll tell them?
Come on, hit me.
They do give you a fresh band, you listen to it, and...
Motherfucker! You hit me in the ear!
then they give you another.
Oh! Ah!
And that's all real nice, that's what we're looking for after all. But Vitriol have just... What's up, I'm Mario for 12 Gauge Slug. This is the first album review ever, and it's of Vitriol's 2 EPs, Antichrist and Pain Will Define Their Death, leading into the release of the band's debut full-length, To Bathe from the Throat of Cowardice, coming through Century Media Records this September 6th. Now I'm gonna go ahead and say it. Vitriol's music is the best extreme metal that I have heard in a long while. So I'm gonna power through this review and say what I have to say as efficiently as I can and try not to let it end up being a half-an-hour long discourse. So, Vitriol hail from the American Northwest, notorious for very questionable football management, but more relevantly, the American black metal scene hotspot. They are Kyle Rasmussen on guitars, he's the wet one up front, Ben Roethlisberger on bass, and Scott Walker doing the drumming. According to the band's Facebook though, they have recently added Michael Ashton as a second guitarist. Vitriol play a technical brand of black and death metal that I defy any of you to challenge as the most intense and aggressive music that you have heard. Links to all of it are in the description below. So getting right into it, Antichrist, the band's very first release, was put up on YouTube back in 2012, and it's as good a debut as you could ask for. 3 tracks and not a bit of filler. This EP is the very heavy precursor to the refined sound heard on the Pain Will Define Their Death EP. It's a crushing offering of death metal with prominent black metal stylings. It is so heavy, the weight of it. The music is intense, technical, very catchy, and boldly showcases Vitriol's exceptional songwriting ability, instrumental prowess, and the band's emotionally ferocious and aggressive nature. 3 main points of commendation for this EP. First, Kyle and Adam's dual vocals are live, violent rage. You can feel the mad fucking brutality in the growls and the searing, hateful venom in the rasps. And they immensely elevate the intensity of the music, complementing the instrumentals. Secondly, Kyle's soloing is fantastic, not only on this EP, but in general. The man has broad feeling and ability. His solos are bold and powerful, very emotional, and most importantly for Vitriol, they are written to enrich the overall song experience and are inspired by the songs they are in. There are 2 solos on this EP, and they are both very different in their affect and speed. The one in The Sun Named Moon is soaring and emotional, while the one in Antichrist is oppressing and vicious. And thirdly, the band's songwriting ability and instrumental prowess allow them to succeed in coming together and writing music that continually intensifies as it progresses with a seamless flow. For example, the opening riff of The Sun Named Moon features a prominent mid-tempo snare that speeds up into an extended drum roll that sends the song into a slower breakdown of that riff that really emphasizes it and just drives it home before Kyle launches into that solo that I just mentioned. Then there's Death Become Me, which is in its entirety, start to finish, a huge transition from death metal into black metal and back again into death metal, while the guitars and bass complement each other in a dueling fashion throughout. And this is so smooth that it is elegant. Now, the couple things I can fault this EP on. The build up to the solo in The Sun Named Moon is a bit short from the song's start to lead into such an emotionally massive solo. I'm really reaching, I know. And then there's the songwriting on the overall EP, which is a little more segmented than that on the Pain Will Define Their Death EP. Thing is, Vitriol are excellent at transitioning from one portion of a song into the next, And the result is that the songs careen through their evolutions, building more and more momentum. This EP is the band's first ever release, and as such, wow. I reached far to fault it on anything, and besides, the band improved as musicians leading into the release of The Pain Will Define Their Death EP. Now this is the band's second EP and first recorded release. It came through Everlasting Spew Records in November of 2017. This 4-track is an absolute buzzsaw of harnessed hostility, rage, and madness. It's less heavy than the Antichrist EP, but a far more aggressive and intense flavor of blackened death metal. Vitriol's songwriting ability had obviously improved leading up to this EP, and the band's own distinct sound is the result. And this sound is a blazing onslaught of rhythmic evolutions, emotional solos, and massive breakdowns. The first track, and also the title track, is relentless. There is only one noticeable moment of slowdown about a minute and a half in, and this is no grace, period. It's more of a catch your breath because we don't want you to miss the rest of this ass whooping we got lined up for you. In terms of black and death metal aggressiveness, Behemoth's Daimonos and Shemham Farash off their Evangelion album are my first comparisons, and honestly a couple of the only comparisons. I've listened to this EP many times these past couple months, and the music is so rich you'll notice something new each time you listen to it. Among the main standout bits, there's the overall song structure of Victim. This song shifts between a death metal portion and a groove, either of them intensifying as the song progresses until the final evolution of the groove section runs into this album's heaviest breakdown. Hate Eternal also do something similar to this in What Lies Beyond off their latest Upon Desolate Sands album, transitioning back and forth between dense death metal sections and a recurring groove. Now I have several standout mentions for Violence A Worthy Truth. This song is just brilliantly written. Firstly, the song's extended intro has the band bouncing a very catchy riff through several measures, but instead of mechanically and soullessly repeating it, they systematically degenerate it toward the song's first verse and groove. This bit almost sounds improvised in its unpredictability and is an ideal example of Vitriol's emotionally intense style. The entire song seems to be written in a wave-like fashion. Once the song proper gets underway, the first verse riff is a wave-like groove, and the entire song actually seems to begin energetically and degenerate into this first verse groove, which is then built up and intensified into dense, heavy death metal that ultimately breaks down. And finally, this breakdown is where I'm going to commend the creative drumming. The double bass drumming undulates between a fast and slow tempo, sustaining the song's tension as it breaks down. And topping things off, the EP's final track, The Parting of a Neck, appropriately features the only solo on this entire EP, and it is to sensational effect as an album closer. I also have to mention that this song, start to finish, sounds like demigod-era Behemoth. However, Vitriol's aggression and intensity are in a league all their own. I have got nothing bad to say about The Pain Will Define Their Death EP. This style of metal, hyper-aggressive and blackened death metal, is one of my absolute favorites. I was truly amazed when I first listened to it, and it's refreshing that Vitriol have invested such talent, purpose, and care into extreme metal. Much respect to them. Once again, their debut full-length, To Bathe from the Throat of Cowardice, is being released through Century Media Records on September 6th. If you like extreme metal, there is no doubt Vitriol offers some of the best you can find. Links to all of Vitriol's music are in the description below, along with this video's credits. Vitriol will be touring through Europe, supporting the mighty Nile and Hate Eternal with Homophagia this September and October.